Hug me, pal.
Never grow old, Michael.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. Showtime.
Springs the first blood. Springs the first blood. Springs the first blood. Springs the first blood. Springs the first blood.
Welcome to Sinister Scripts podcast, where we watch all the horror movies you know and love, some that you've never heard of. And we are joined today by a special guest, Braden Timmons. So thanks for joining us, Braden.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, and Braden is the how do I was like, how do I introduce you? Like the writer, the director, the actor, the special effects coordinator. The you wear many hats.
It's not special effects, but Janet Degree is our special effects coordinator.
Okay.
But I mean, she does always come to me to make sure that everything is all good and it looks how it's meant to look and everything. But I do wear many hats. You are absolutely correct, and it is sometimes very, very stressful.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was watching. So for those of you who don't know, Braden did two fan-made Halloween films, and we've got, along with some other shorts and some other things that he's also been involved in. But the ones that kind of caught my eye initially was the Haddonfield Nightmare, and then which was in 2021, I believe.
Yes.
And then The Last Nightmare Part 1, which just released this past fall, and now from what I understand, you're working on Part 2 of The Last Nightmare. Is that correct?
Yes. We are working on Part 2 currently. It's hilarious because I was literally today was my deadline to get all the perks out for shipping.
Okay.
I had to turn my camera this way because this side of my room is just boxes upon boxes of everything that I've had to do for that. And Ryan, I find it hilarious because I was like going through. You ordered the double Blu-ray pack.
You did.
And I was like, holy cow, I'm going to be on his show today. I could tell him that I'm going to ship his Blu-rays today.
That's awesome. Yeah, listen, it was funny because before we get into too much, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and use it now for like a shout out for Bat Productions and where they can find your projects and any of your short film stuff like that. So go ahead and hype yourself up here for a second before we get into it.
Yep. Yeah, one thing I hate doing is hyping myself up, but you guys can find me. You guys can find me on YouTube. You guys can find me on Instagram, Bat Productions Official on Instagram, or BAT Official on Instagram as well. So you guys can follow me on social media, YouTube. That's where I'm at the most.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining us, and we're gonna focus on the Haddonfield Nightmare and The Last Nightmare, which just came out, talk about them, but then also a little bit about your journey and how you got started doing this. Because when David and I, literally this podcast got started because our wives are friends. We became friends and realized that we had a lot in common with horror movies, and I'm like, why don't we put a couple microphones in this room? And as we got started, the Haddonfield Nightmare was literally one of the first things that came out just on a YouTube search when I was starting up a podcast, horror movie reviews. And I came across it and I was like, holy shit, this is really awesome. This looks started watching it and I was like, this looks better than a lot of movies that let's be honest, the Halloween, what are we going to call it? I guess it's more than the Halloween series is one that is loved. It's hated. It's divisive. It's got 1,000 storylines. And so I thought it was super unique what you were able to do, but picking one of those storylines that not a lot of people have focused on, right? We've broken off of the original a lot, but then kind of to pick up where H2O left off and kind of run with that, I thought was a really unique take on it.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah, I mean the H2O storyline is one that I've always really loved. I think that H2O is my favorite sequel in the entire franchise. I think the way that they handle Laurie as a character in that movie, John Tate has always been a very interesting character to me.
Right.
We only see him in Halloween H2O because the franchise has yet to do anything original, and for some reason they just grasp onto the Laurie Strode storyline. And I'm like, guys, you guys do realize that there are other characters that you can
Right.
explore
Exactly.
within this franchise. Like, I mean, it's unbelievable how they have yet to really branch off and do anything. So, I mean, like, if they wanted to do a Jamie Lloyd storyline, they could. If they wanted to do a Hollywood version of the John Tate storyline, they could. But for some reason, they just refuse to let go of Laurie Strode. And it's even down to the point to like where fans are like, okay, can we please get away from the Laurie Strode stuff? And I do very much like Halloween 2018. And that was actually the movie that I saw that really, I mean, if you can't tell, there's a few comments on the Haddonfield Nightmare on YouTube as well that, you know, they realize it's like, you know, someone saw Halloween 2018 and said, what if we did like something similar with John Tate as an adult? But it's not even really like, you know, with Halloween 2018 may have given me the idea, but it's like they did that once before with Halloween H2O. So it was more so of just the idea that H18 gave me was, okay, like, you know, we could do the same thing, but with John Tate now as an adult and his next confrontation with Michael Myers. And I think that that is something that I would really like to explore. And the reason being is, you know, I do not have it on the channel right now. It's uploaded, but it's on private, and it's on private for a reason, because it's dog shit. It is the first fan film that I ever did. It's called Halloween Haddonfield Nightmare, and it's like 4.5 minutes long. Shot completely on an iPhone 8 Plus back in 2018, and everything about it's trash. I mean, and I literally back in 2018, I had just graduated college. This is when I was like experiencing fan films like Never Hike Alone. Renee Rivas had just put out The Spirit of Haddonfield, which is kind of within the H2O storyline as well. And so it's like, I was like, oh my God, like these fan films are really a thing. Like, and people seem to very much enjoy this. So, you know, here I am, early October. I'm like, dude, let's just do, I was talking to my buddy. I'm like, dude, let's just do a fan film, release it on Halloween. No, it's trash. So, and I didn't want anybody to get confused when we started funding for the Haddonfield Nightmare that, oh, this is the sort of quality that they're going to get. So my cinematographer was like, dude, you just hide it on your channel, please. Like, I don't care if you keep it on your channel, just freaking hide it. So, and honestly, like my idea now is like for the Last Nightmare Part 2 Blu-ray, I'm thinking of including that as like a bonus feature. Like a little bonus feature.
Like blooper reel almost.
Blooper reel, there you go.
Right. This is the first film that we ever did, and now we're gonna do, and people can see it and be like, yeah, I'm glad that you didn't keep that on the channel, because if I saw that, I'd be like, yeah, no, that I'm not back at this. Like, so.
That's funny. Yeah. So is Halloween your favorite franchise?
Favorite franchise, yeah.
Okay.
Halloween is my favorite horror movie of all time. So
that's Dave. I was like, Dave, this is right up your alley, Dave.
Yeah,
David,
I love them too. So they're my favorite.
Yeah, no, you know, I mean, there's a lot to love about it. So sorry, Ryan, but
no, it's one of those where I feel like, you know, I was chatting with some folks the other day on here, and I was like, you know, if you talk about like characters that have been in horror, like all the characters that we come to know and love, like nothing is new anymore. I mean, with the exception of maybe like Art the Clown has maybe cemented itself as like a unique character that hasn't been done before necessarily. I mean, I can argue that there's probably they pulled from some other characters, but like you think about it, it's Michael, it's Freddy, it's Jason, it's, you know, then when you get into the 90s, you know, Ghostface and Chucky. These are all old characters. Like I feel like a unique character is tough to do, and so that's what I mean. Even though you used the Halloween story and the character of Michael Myers, making it something so unique with the storyline, I think is where it was able to set it apart for me. I love the John Tate storyline. I love the idea, even in the dialogue in the Haddonfield Nightmare, where he was talking about, oh, well, what about all those reports that he was seen in California in whatever year it was? And I was like, that's awesome, because it's like, oh, he died in the fire, right? The hospital fire. And yeah, so they're like, oh, he's dead. But, you know, is he really? Because obviously, you know, years later we continue this storyline. So I think that was like being able to take a story that, even though we've seen a lot of different storylines and make it something unique was something I really appreciated in the film. And also, like, your version of Michael was brutal, which I enjoyed. I was like, yes, give me 2018, like, just, and especially with this new one, like, I went and rewatched The Last Nightmare Part One, and I was like,
Yeah.
that movie, like, whatever he's like getting dude in the hallway, that as soon as he comes off the gurney, and I'm like, okay, once, twice, okay, he's go like, he like, this reminded me of
Yeah.
what was the movie that came out this year, David, where he just beat him to a pulp in the woods, In a Violent Nature,
In a Violent Nature, yeah.
where he's like, he stabbed the dude like 30 something times, and I'm like, oh yes, keep, like, that's what it reminded me of. So I really appreciated that scene and kind of jumping all around a little bit. But like, back to getting started. So after you made the 4-minute movie, the 4-minute short that you said is terrible, that obviously didn't deter you because you ended up making the Haddonfield Nightmare. So tell me about, like, how did you get started on that? And we were like, this is really a thing. And like how you went about gathering, because as an independent filmmaker, and I've talked to many, they're like, you got to call in all your favors, call your buddies that, you know, that my buddy knows sound, this person knows special effects, and like call in your favors, cash in those chits, because, you know, when you're going to make a movie. So tell me how you went about kind of gathering your team to actually make this a reality.
Yeah. You know, after we did that 4.5 minute one, I ended up getting for Christmas that year a Canon T6i camera, like, you know, because I had just also in 2018 started doing YouTube videos and everything like that. And Halloween kind of became the main pinpoint of my channel. So I was like, you know, I wanted to make higher quality videos, higher quality films, all that stuff. So for Christmas that year, my family ended up getting me a camera. So that was like a big stepping stone for me into really the YouTube and filmmaking journey. So here I am thinking, like, you know, okay, we're ready to go out there and make a part two. So I spent the first half of 2019 thinking that we were just going to be doing a Halloween Haddonfield Nightmare part two, and it was going to pick up very much like, you know, and I was just using friends and family members that were involved with Halloween Haddonfield Nightmare just for fun, really. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do a part two, but we're going to step up the quality and it's going to be a lot better and everything. And I spent most of my energy, like, you know, for the first part of 2019, really through through June of that year, thinking that that's what we were going to do. So I wrote like an 18-page script, and, you know, we had a few table reads, and then, as I never encourage anybody to work with friends that are not serious about going into the film business or want to be an actor or something like that, because it just started to become a nightmare. Like, you know, this one cast member got a boyfriend, and we were going to do a table read. And here I am thinking, like, I'm making this completely serious, you know. And she's like, well, can I bring my boyfriend? And then, like, as soon as shit like that started hitting the fan, I'm like, dude, I'm like, I don't even really give a shit. Like, I'm like, I'm not, I'm like, you know what? We're not doing this. We're not going to do it. So
It's aggravating.
I'm like, yeah. So we had a production schedule for it, but again, we were just going to be shooting at, you know, family, friends' houses and all that stuff. And people usually don't actually realize how long it takes on a film set to get the shot that you want, because there's, you know, lighting and this and that. And even then, our lighting was hot trash. Again, I just thought that I knew everything because I had just gotten the camera, and I'm like, all right, I got the camera, I can use lighting that's not very good and make it look good. I could not actually. So, like, my insight, like my mindset was just like, you know, I would shoot something and I'd throw it into, you know, I was using Final Cut Pro at the time, and I'd throw it into Final Cut and I'd try to color it. I'm like, why does this still look bad? You know, it's like, again, people just think it's a lot easier than it is, but you have to light it. You have to make it look pretty on camera in order for it to even look prettier when you color it in, you know, an editing software. So again, you know, we were using just friends and family. And then by the time June hit, and so many people had dropped out, and they were like, I don't want to be a part of it because, like, you know, you're micromanaging this and that. And I'm just like, okay, well, it's because you're not taking it seriously. I thought that you wanted to be a part of it. Right. So, you know what? I was like, okay, my one buddy, one of my best friends who is a producer on the Haddonfield Nightmare along with me, I literally told him, I said, we're scrapping it. If we're going to do this, we're actually going to do this. And that was where, because I had initially planned 3 short films, like it was going to be Halloween Haddonfield Nightmare, Halloween Haddonfield Nightmare Part 2, and the last one was just going to be called The Haddonfield Nightmare. Okay. So I kind of like just jumped right in, and I was like, all right, we're just going to call it The Haddonfield Nightmare. It's going to be feature length. And so I sat down that summer, I watched every Halloween movie, and by the time I got to Halloween H2O, I had known, like I like paused it midway through, and it was on the scene where John was giving this freak out speech to his mom about Michael Myers is dead. And it was like right there that as soon as he said that line, it like hit me, and I was like, dude, what if we did a Halloween H2O sequel and focused on John Tate as an adult? And so I texted my buddies, and they were excited about it. They were like, if you actually think that we can pull this off, then yeah, let's do it. And so, you know, I immediately I really just kind of stopped because, first of all, I was on H2O. I cannot stand Halloween Resurrection. I actually movie. Cannot. Yeah, and you know what's funny? Chad Sumner, who plays Michael Myers in The Last Nightmare Part 1, he is a huge Halloween Resurrection fan. And him and I butt heads on set. Like literally, I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, how does it feel to like just the biggest piece of garbage that you've ever
the worst seen. Mask, everything.
So it's safe to say that movie is not canon with your series, then?
No. It is not. So you know, I have something to say about that later on though too, because it is kind of funny. But yeah, like I started really just studying Halloween H2O as a movie and seeing where we can pick up from that. This was like early August. I started writing the script for Haddonfield Nightmare in September 2019. I finished the initial draft. Now, I was also terrified because I'm like, dude, not only is this a Halloween H2O sequel, but like this is going to be a feature length script. I'd only ever written short scripts up until the Haddonfield Nightmare, so I was genuinely terrified to venture out into this, like thinking that I'm biting off more than I can chew, thinking that I'm never going to be able to compile a story that's going to make sense or whatever. So it took me 5 months, September to February of 2020, to be able to, you know, write the entire thing. We started casting. We started posting casting calls in November of that year because we had enough dialogue for actors to at least, you know, read some dialogue and kind of start narrowing down who we really want to see and who we're going to narrow down to and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what I spent really the fall of that year doing, is really just studying Halloween H2O. And, you know, I had known that I wanted John to be kind of like a Loomis / Laurie, kind of embedded within the two. Like, you know, he's a doctor and he's a professor, so it's like, you know, he teaches psychology. He got all that from Loomis, and it just shows how obsessed he became with Michael Myers after, like, that was really my first part, is okay, how do we fit this character into the story that makes sense, and why is he in Haddonfield? And, you know, he's in Haddonfield because Dr. Loomis founded Haddonfield University. It's an institution where a lot of people come to study psychology, specifically the Michael Myers case, because, I mean, it's literally nationwide known. And it's a good in as to, okay, we don't really have to do a whole lot of explaining as to why John is here. Right. I feel like the audience can put 2 and 2 together, that, you know, if they listen to the dialogue, they're sitting there and they're like, oh, okay, Dr. Loomis founded the institution. John is a psychologist. He's a doctor, and that makes sense as to why he's out here. We don't really need anything further in regards to that. Exactly. And that's really one thing about Haddonfield Nightmare, is the Haddonfield Nightmare is, I really wanted to make it a John Tate sort of movie. So it's like, you know, when we're really not with John, we're spending some time with his daughter, and Michael Myers is just kind of like, you know, sprinkled throughout. Right. And then, like, you know, Last Nightmare Part 1, we were like, okay, we kind of gave people the slow start, which is fine, but we really have to kickstart with a bang for Last Nightmare Part 1. Yeah. Which is why, you when we were aiming at bringing Michael back. Now the production, we were initially supposed to open up at the prison again, that where it ended in the Haddonfield Nightmare,
Right?
Like the opening of Last Nightmare Part 1.
Like the sanitarium, right?
Yes, it was supposed to open up in the sanitarium again, but the location that we were using, unfortunately, didn't allow productions to be there anymore because there are a variety of people that have been on the site that had vandalized it and all that stuff. So,
Gotcha.
Right.
said, unfortunately, we can't do this. I was pretty pissed off because it was like, they worked with us so well for. Now that's the second time that we had lost a prison location. With the first one was right before we were starting to film the Haddonfield Nightmare. We had a state prison lined up. We had visited the location several times. And who my buddy was in charge of getting too.
Yeah.
And I got a call around 10 in the morning the day that we're getting ready to start production. And he was like, Braden, don't freak out, but the prison will not let us shoot there anymore. And I was like,
Oh,
and I literally, I thought, and here I am, I'm like, haha, he knows how nervous I was. I literally couldn't sleep the night before. I was excited. I was antsy, all that stuff. And he's like, he was like, no, I'm serious. Like we won't be able to shoot at this prison. And I'm like, okay, be real. Like, are you actually serious? He's like, no, yeah, I'm 100% serious. And I was pretty pissed off that entire day because I'm like, what do we do?
I can imagine.
Right. We have actors. Like, this is my first day on set of my feature film.
Yeah.
And it's all fucked.
that we're doing. And it's all fucked. I had no idea what to do. And all day I'm trying to think, I'm like, dude, we have actors that are going to be there tonight and everything like that. Like, this looks really freaking bad on us. So, I ended up kind of BSing it. We shot something and it was terrible. Later on down the line, we ended up reshooting because it was the opening scene, which I still to this day can't stand the opening of Haddonfield Nightmare, honestly.
Really?
I think that, I don't really like the opening scene at all. I think that it could have been a lot better. There are things that I wish that we could have done differently, and everything. So
where do you're based in Illinois?
What?
Where are you based out of?
I was based in Illinois, yeah. So I'm in Arizona now.
Where did you, when you shot Haddonfield, was it those street shots in the beginning? Was that in Illinois?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I could see. I originally grew up in Carbondale, Illinois, like Southern Illinois. I went to SIU, and so when I saw I was like, this looks like a legit like Midwestern town. I was like, it totally fit. With I know Haddonfield is supposed to be Haddonfield, Illinois. But it was just funny because I was like, this looks really like a Midwestern, like where I grew up. So I thought it worked. So just so you know, you didn't love it. I thought it worked pretty well. So.
well, no. I'm glad that you like the opening. I mean, like I'm glad that you do. And so Illinois is where we shot the entirety of the Haddonfield Nightmare. So and most of like the town that you see before we established John Tate's house, that's Plainfield, Illinois. That's my hometown. And I always thought, I was like, you know what, dude, Plainfield literally reminds me of Haddonfield. It's just like a small, it's just a small sort of town. It gives you that Halloween vibe and everything. So I was like, let's do this. Like, let's use Plainfield because it's down the street from my house.
Right.
Nice.
So when you set out to like make this movie, did you ever think that because I think you just crossed over, what is it, 2 million views on Haddonfield Nightmare now? I mean, did you have any idea the success that it would have like when you were finished with it? I mean, I'm sure there was, like you said, on day one you started with problems, and everybody I've talked to that's been an independent film is like, listen, it's going to happen whether it's on day 1 or day 50. Like you're going to have to be able to like kind of roll with the punches and make this thing work. But like the idea is when it's done, you're happy with it. So are you happy with what came out of it, and did you ever expect it to be what it was and kind of what it became?
Yeah, I'm super happy with what it came out to be, and I'm really glad that people liked it and saw what we were going for with Haddonfield Nightmare. Did I expect it to ever hit 1 million views, let alone 2 million? No.
Yeah.
I honestly thought that like we would be sitting comfortably at like maybe 50,000 views or something like that. Because I mean, I knew our page on YouTube really, or on Facebook really started to kind of grow as we promoted it more and yada yada yada. So you know, the more people that we got involved, I was really happy to see that most of them showed up. I mean, Haddonfield Nightmare, when it premiered on YouTube, like there was like over 500 people at one point watching it. And I'm like, oh my God, like
That's
they are
awesome.
live. Like we can see the live numbers of how many people are in there watching it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Nice.
oh my gosh, like this is insane as to, you know, how many people are in here watching this live right now.
So was all of your like you promoted everything, I'm guessing, just via social media? Like there's no like advertising budget. This is just social media.
I mean, yeah, it was social media. We did a premiere in Illinois
Okay.
for it at Hollywood Palm Cinema in Naperville.
Okay.
That was awesome, and it was completely sold out. Like,
That's
I mean,
amazing.
Nice.
it was awesome to see people react to it and everything. I mean, granted, I had a lot of connections. We did a premiere out here in Arizona too, and not like it was like more of a smaller group because I'm still newer to Arizona. I've only been out here for a few years, and you know that it was still cool to get feedback from people, but we're hoping for part 2 as we get to know more people out here and become more involved with hopefully conventions and everything.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get the word spread a bit more, and you know, our Facebook page really started to blow. Like the main Facebook page really started to blow up as we started promoting Last Nightmare Part 1. So
it was so fun. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
It was just funny when I was reading through like comments and stuff, and like how many people were like thought this was like a real, like this is a real, like, you know, like Miramax or somebody, you know, like this is a real movie that's going to be out by a major studio. And there were so many comments like, is this like, this looks so much better, which kind of leads me to my next question. Did you ever get any like cease and desist, or like any studios ever message you like, you can't do this, you can't use that character or anything like that?
No, not yet. I mean, there was, so funny story, last April, we finished filming Last Nightmare Part 1. And we had spent 2.5 weeks shooting. We spent every day out there shooting something. I mean, it was a long process. And then turns out, so Davey Deathray, do you guys know who that is? He does like Late Night with the Davey. He does a really cool live stream and everything.
Oh, okay.
He had started YouTube and being more active on YouTube last year. Just a great all-around guy. And he did a poll on his channel for what Halloween fan film he was going to watch for a stream that was going to be going down at the end of April.
Okay.
And the top 2 that was in the vote was between Halloween Night and the Haddonfield Nightmare. Halloween Night ended up winning, so that was what he was going to watch. Literally the day after we wrapped filming, like everyone's leaving, everyone's going home and everything like that. And Davey posted something on his channel and tagged me saying I had to reschedule and do Haddonfield Nightmare tonight because Halloween Night had just gotten taken down because they used the soundtrack from like Halloween 2018, and I guess they really started cracking down on fan films that was using soundtracks that was close to the new. So many fan films and so many fan filmmakers, like, you know, started posting stuff saying, oh, I just got this notice from Miramax saying that, you know, my fan film got taken down. And a lot of it is because even if it was original music, if the cue sounded anything like the Carpenter sound, it was getting flagged and blocked and taken down. I hadn't gotten any notice on Haddonfield Nightmare. So, you know, I'm like sitting here, I literally got added to a group chat with all these different fan filmmakers, and they were like, you know, who's had these issues? I was like, I mean, I haven't, but also everything in Haddonfield Nightmare is original, from like music to really everything. I mean, there are some nods to the Halloween music, but it's all original stuff. So, you know, the theme that we had initially, I mean, Mike Shabani, our composer, had the theme done pretty much right before we went into production. He's
Okay.
he's kind of like Hans Zimmer. He likes to work ahead and get like concept stuff out just by reading the script. And it's hilarious because the opening track, when the tilt shot of Michael lying, that entire track of him killing those doctors and everything like that was a pre-track that we used that just fit so well with the scene.
That was awesome.
Shot,
it was, yeah.
That like we were like, oh my god! So he's doing that again for Last Nightmare Part 2. I've already heard some concept stuff for the opening, and oh my god, it gives me chills. Like, I mean, because like this is it. Like Last Nightmare Part 2 is it. We want it to be. I told him, I was like, okay, you know, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, the opening theme, Lily's theme, and everything. I'm like, I kind of want something like that, but with Halloween. Literally the day after he sent me this, he was like, how's this sound? I had goosebumps. Like,
that's awesome.
But either way, like the thing is that everything with ours is original. So, but with the opening theme of Last Nightmare Part 1, it did originally have the kind of Carpenter-esque cue to it. And so that kind of like got us freaking out. Like, okay, we really have to sit down and change all of it. So, you know, I mean, and I think he did a great job at modifying it, making it its own thing.
Right.
And again, I'm like, you know, and I told him, I'm like, dude, if anything, this is really just going to make Last Nightmare Part 1 stand out more because it's an original cue that sounds similar to similar enough to the franchise music, but it's original. So I'm like, and people seem to really, really love it. So
nice.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I just rewatched both of the films the past couple days, and like I loved the Last Nightmare Part 1. I thought it was great. I was like, yes, like you said, like we kind of had this build up into it, and then like that last scene, like at the party where he just goes in and just takes all those like 4 or 5 people out. I was like, yes, like the garbage disposal was perfect, and like I like how the one guy was just kind of like standing there like in shock watching all this happen, and I was like the whole time I'm like, do something, buddy, do something, like, and he like goes to punch him, and then he was just like, nope, that didn't work. I was like, this is amazing.
What's funny was like, because I watched it with captions because I've got a 20-month-old running around the house, so I'm like, now I have to have captions. As soon as that dude threw the punch and he blocked, the caption said applause, and I was like, like yes.
No, that's outstanding. No, yeah, I mean, and so it's funny enough. My parents, they watched the movie and they were like, so did nobody react or anything like that to this guy just going around killing people?
Right.
I'm like, okay, well, first of all, you look and see the Bone Daddy is what we call him, the guy with the beard with the skeleton costume on that gets the girl thrown to him. So first of all, the girl is my sister that got thrown. So that's that's my younger sister, and my youngest sister is the one that gets her head smashed in with the car and everything.
Oh, I was about to ask about that. That was awesome.
So she had a lot of fun doing that one. Also, but Riley was actually, who's the one that got her head smashed in with the car. She was actually not feeling well that weekend, but she really wanted to be involved with it. So she really was taking it like a champ, just being out there and it was a cold. At least here in Arizona, it was like in the 40s, which is cold, which elsewhere it may be nice when it gets to the 40s, right? But it was freezing. So it's like, you know, we're all sitting out there like with our jackets on and everything. But yeah, no, she did a great job. My other sister wanted to be involved in it. So she was the party host and everything. And so she got thrown into the guy with the beard, who's again just shocked. He's like, is this real? The one that threw the bottle at Michael and then got thrown through the table.
Yeah,
that's our stunt coordinator, Sean Groves, who is fantastic. He had said like he was out here shooting the first scene we ever shot was Riley's scene, and we shot that in December of 2023 to kind of kickstart everything. We had thought, we were like, okay, before we open another Indiegogo, why don't we at least release a clip of the movie so people can see like what they can expect out of this one. Because, you know, I feel like there's a lot of people that were like, oh, Haddonfield Nightmare wasn't violent enough or whatever. And I'm like, okay, you clearly like these movies for different reasons. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, we had said that we were going to make part 1 more violent. We were going to not show his eyes, which I very much enjoyed, because the reason behind that is because I wanted it to be to like where almost like Michael was classic shape in Haddonfield Nightmare. To like where it's like, you know, you could see his eyes because you saw them in Halloween H2O.
Right.
But as now we progress in the story, I'm like the disappearing of the eyes in part 1 is almost like the shape is like reborn in a way. It's like, you know, now he's becoming more and more powerful as the night goes on because of, you know, just how pissed off he is. Like, I mean, John beat the shit out of him twice in Haddonfield Nightmare. So it's like, he's like, I'm not, Michael's like, I'm done. Like, you know, that's why nobody was able to touch Michael in this one. Like, I mean, sure, the one guy punched him in the face twice, but on that third one, he grabbed his arm and he's like, no, buddy, I'm going to break your arm right now. So
it reminded me of the was it Halloween Kills, the scene where they were like circled up on him with the bats and they're like, we're taking Michael out, and he gets up, and I was like, that's what the second one this first part 1 reminded me of, is that scene where it's like you see evil take its full form and it's like no one's gonna survive this kind of thing. So
nuts. Exactly.
So I wanted to ask you about the casting. Like, I know you did some casting calls, so like you had some people, you know, your sister was in it, and you know, and stunt coordinators, but like the role of like casting John, how did you know? Because I thought, was it Peter, right? Peter is his name. I thought he did a great job, and as kind of portraying that like you said, kind of that Loomis, that intellectual, but also that Strode part of as being Laurie's son. So I thought, like, how did you go? Like, did you know when he started reading, you're like, that's the guy?
So there's such a funny story behind casting, and it's one of my favorite stories to tell, actually, because I had received a variety of different headshots, and again, I was so nervous going into casting because I'm like, guys, we have to cast somebody that resembles Josh Hartnett or the character of John Tate,
right,
in some way. Some way, somehow, this guy has to look very similar.
So we need someone dreamy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you know, basically he needs to be like a sexy model, like, you know,
kind of, yeah.
And you know, so I had gotten some headshots, and I'm just like, like, no. Like, again, this is like for like the first 2 months, and then like around mid-December, right before Christmas, Pete's email came through, and it included his resume, his headshot. And I literally looked at it and I'm like, okay, I genuinely don't give a shit if this guy can act, but this looks very much like like, I'm like, I do not care if this guy can act or not. This may be John. Basically, you know, I contacted him, said that, you know, I'd love to, you know, connect and chat and everything. So him and I probably have like 17 email exchanges back and forth. And Pete, the one thing you got to know about Pete is that he is a heck of a professional. I mean, like, you know, like we emailed, like I said, back and forth, and then we got on the phone. We started talking about the script. We started talking about the story. By the time I sent him the script, I had only just finished the first 2 acts. So, but like, you know, he had enough substance to read as to, okay, this is what we're doing and everything. You know, we get on the phone. He went on vacation for Christmas, and then he came back, and we reconnected in January and everything. And, you know, again, we had just really been talking about the character and kind of what that arc is going to look like and everything. And the funniest thing in the world is that he had no idea who John Tate was. He had never seen Halloween H2O. He just said that, oh, I fit the description. I'm just going to submit for this. And so, you know, I started talking to him about, like, you know, who he is and about what the character is. And, you know, and this is what I mean by, like, he's a professional. Is like, we did a cast and crew table read in February of 2020. And then he texted me that night. He sent me that he's watching Halloween H2O so he can start researching the character and kind of understanding, you know. So it's not like he came into this blind and just listened to me. He actually sat down and watched Halloween H2O and really got to know about John. And, you know, he asks me questions on set about, like, you know, would my character do this and that. But like every time we say cut and we're watching playback, and he's like, make sure that you love it. Make sure that you love it. I could do it again. I promise. Like, you know, but yeah, so that was my process of casting John, is that, like, you know, I saw Pete And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't really give a shit. This is John Tate, if you ask me. So, you know, and I was so glad that he agreed to do the movie, because like, you know, when I posted that he was going to be John, I mean, everyone was like, wow, he actually looks very similar to what he could look like as an adult. So, you know, which is exactly what we wanted. I feel like I just got luckier than ever to find Pete, because I don't think anybody else would have been able to do it like he's done it. So
right. No, he did a great job, and I felt it did fit. And it was funny. I remember if I was watching the movie or if I was just doing some research for this conversation, and my wife walked by and she saw Pete and she was just like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "This is this Halloween movie I'm watching." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, remember Josh Hartnett's character? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, this is that character grown up. And she's like, I can see that. I was like, get out of here.
No, yeah, I mean, honestly, really, the casting, the main three, like, you know, you've got the main three, which is John, Officer Williams, and Lauren. So, you know, Kate Kelly, who plays Lauren in the movie, she really sold it with her facial expressions in her audition. Like, you know, she was making really good facial expressions, and that was what we were looking for with it. Like, we had narrowed it down to, you know, with Lauren Tate specifically, we had probably seen a little over 30 actors. I mean, that submitted like, you know, audition tapes for us to look at. And, you know, Kate made it into the top three because the way that she paced with her dialogue and the way that she was able to, you know, utilize facial expressions, which is exactly what we really wanted. And again, in part one, she really needs to focus on the facial expressions because she doesn't really have a whole lot of dialogue.
Right.
But that is going to change in part two. And then Officer Williams, man, Andre is just such a character.
I liked his character.
Yeah, he was good.
He is such a fun person to work with. And I mean, like, Andre, though, it's like when he's in focus mode, like, you know, there are actors that are on set, like, you know, Pete and Kate, they'll be around and they'll be talking to people and everything. Andre, when he is not needed for a scene, he will exclude himself and go sit in his car and really just kind of like talk through the character himself. Or, you know, if we're setting up and he has a question, he comes over to me. Like, Andre, first of all, he submitted the highest quality audition I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I mean, he had like an 8K camera or some shit. Like, this is back in like 2020, like or 2019, when 8K wasn't even a thing. Like, now you can buy 8K TVs in 2025. I'm like, dude, this man is living in 2025 currently. Man, like, but no, seriously, I saw his audition and I was like, yeah, no, this is Williams, man. Like, I casted him right away. Like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. I was like, this is Officer Williams. Like, he was the one that I casted right away. But yeah, I mean, all three of them really, really hone in and are fantastic and are just really great individuals to be around and work with. And, you know, we're excited for part two. Like, you know, Pete's like, yo, when are you sending the call sheets? And I'm like, yo, calm down. I'm like, I cannot announce anything part two related until every perk is out for Last Nightmare Part One. So and David, you ordered a Blu-ray, right? I think that you did.
I don't think so.
Oh,
I might have to.
You know, sorry, I only asked because I'm like, David Klein, I'm like, maybe I'm just seeing stuff, or there was a few other Davids, but I was like, I could have sworn that I just sent out a Blu-ray to a David.
Hey, maybe I'll get one. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe, you know.
Well, so like working with, so you said, how is it, because you have your hand in so much between like the writing, the directing, the producing, like doing all this stuff, having to like, and for the first time working with these actors who all have very different methods and how they approach a film. Like you said with Andre, he has his way, and then Pete has a way of doing things, and then also sprinkling in people who are not professional actors, maybe, so to speak. You know, how are you able to handle that? Did you have to like kind of learn how to get the most out of each person on set?
Yeah. So with it, the main three are all actors who have worked on other stuff, whether
Sure.
it be stage productions or they've actually done some form of acting.
Okay.
And we've also had supporting characters who have also done a variety of acting. Actually, the guy that played what's his face, the one that got hit over the hammer, Chad. Yeah, the one that played Chad in in the Haddonfield Nightmare.
Yeah.
He was just in a Super Bowl commercial this past Super Bowl.
Oh, nice.
So he was in like the NFL Play 60 commercial that was like it was shown to so many people during the Super Bowl, and my buddy texted me. I'm like, is that Andrew Colley? And then I'm like looking at it because I follow him on Instagram, and he follows me, and like I saw him post something saying Super Bowl Sunday, be aware. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, maybe something, So I wasn't even thinking of it, but the commercial starts, and I'm like, holy shit! And my buddy texted me, he's like, yo, is that? And I was like, dude, that's freaking Andrew from Haddonfield Nightmare. I'm like, no freaking shit, that's so hilarious. And Pete, he was in a WeatherTech commercial about a year and a half ago.
Oh, that's funny.
And I knew that because I saw him post something on Instagram for that.
Yeah.
And then my mom actually was at a bar with my dad, and they were watching a game, and she texted me and was like, I think I just saw your actor in a WeatherTech commercial. So I'm like, no, you definitely did. So, they have all done something like, within acting, whether it be commercial work or stage work, whatever. But then we get actors who get killed by Myers perk, which they have no acting experience. And, working with actors that don't have any sort of experience, first of all, they're just excited to be there. They're just super excited to have this chance to be on set. And there was a number of actors that we worked with, that were either just voluntary or that, just got that get killed by Myers perk. And all of them with Last Nightmare Part 1, and you don't see this a lot, all of them were actually really, really good.
That's awesome.
And took a lot of really good direction and everything. One of them that got the get killed perk, Doug, he is in the scene in Last Nightmare Part 1 where it's the three guys just hanging out on Halloween night, and Michael walks in and just offs all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one with the slams his face with the knife. That was awesome.
Yep. So that was just a really fun night. That was the first big night that we did when we got to the Midwest to start filming. So again, funny story. This is exactly what happened because that scene was not originally in the script. Those three were actually supposed to be the three characters in the opening scene of the movie. But what had happened is that, this is why you should always go see locations also before you agree to shoot somewhere. So learning experience on this one. But we got to this location that we were supposed to be using for the opening scene, which is supposed to be a hospital.
The morgue, yeah.
And it was just a warehouse that had nothing that we could use. The walls were all like we could have built it, but the walls were all tilty, and it would have looked like shit. I'm like,
we need cinder block.
No, seriously. I'm like, we cannot start the opening of the movie like this. I was actually originally going to do it, but my cinematographer, thank God he was there, because he was like, honestly, he's like, Braden, I know it sucks, but you just have to wait on this. He's like, we have to wait until we have a location that we know we will be able to do stuff at. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I'm like, holy shit, we're shooting tomorrow night. Holy shit, one of our backers flew out from Arizona to Chicago to be here. So all of this stuff is just starting to spiral into my head. And again, this just happens on day one of production for Last Nightmare Part 1. And I'm just like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So he's like, okay, let's take a deep breath. Let's go grab some food. Let's grab a case of beer. We're going to go back to where we're staying, and we're going to start we're going to start going around everything. So we get there. We finally start getting some traction as to where we can fit the scene within the story. We're like, oh, we don't have anything to cut to right here. Let's just throw this scene in right here. It'll make perfect sense to go from this in the script to this to this. So it was me. It was one of my one of my producers, one of my best friends. He's a producer on the movie, and then it was the cinematographer. And we were all sitting there, we're all eating, we're all having a few beers, and we finally come up with this scene. And like the idea of the knife came like 3 beers in, like where our cinematographer was like, "Yo, Dark Knight,
Yeah,
nice."
that's
the
exactly what I
pencil.
thought of. The pencil, yeah.
And I was like, if you think we could pull it off. So I texted the guys. I said, okay, we're going to meet here tomorrow. Things have changed. And I was honestly expecting them to all freak out on me that they were no longer going to be involved in the opening. But honestly, all of them were like, yo, this is better. This is actually better. They were like, I like this. So, yeah, I mean, we spent about 9 hours that night filming that entire scene, and they were just all awesome
That's
to
great.
work with and
So
everything.
now I have to wonder what's going to happen on day 1 of shooting for part 2. You're 2 for 2 so far. Like,
No,
that's the
please.
trifecta.
Please, I might quit. I might just be like, guys, day 1 was a mess. We're done. That's it. Pack it up and let's get out. You know, it's funny though, because when we shot Sally, you know, my 15-minute short, we shot that in Peoria, Illinois, and we were out there for a week filming that. And I mean, that entire production, day 1 was fine. So I'm like, I thought I had broken that curse between Haddonfield Nightmare. I'm like, oh, okay, Sally was really good. So I'm like, what can go wrong with Last Nightmare Part 1? It's the nightmare movies that just have nightmare shit happen.
Yeah.
Well, and also, wasn't that an Easter egg? They were watching Sally in that scene.
Yes, they were. Yes, that was an Easter egg. So yes, if you're familiar with my work, then yeah, Sally's that. And in Sally, the babysitter, that when she's sitting down and she's watching a movie, that was the voiceover is my cinematographer's original short film that he did. So you know, so we kind of throw in little Easter eggs when we can, because like we're like, okay, well, we can't have her watching Halloween 3. We're gonna get like, you know, a copyright claim on it because you're showing Halloween 3. But I'm like, there's nothing wrong with showing our own stuff. So
that's true. That's true. So how was it acting in the movie as the deputy?
You know, my role was a little bit bigger in part 1 than it was in Haddonfield Nightmare, but it was great. I had a great time doing it.
I didn't notice it was you until I was like, holy shit, that's Braden.
Yeah, no, it's always fun to be able to do that. Like I'm trying to kind of like, you know, throw in a little Braden cameo in each of the movies. The only one that I don't have one in right now is Sally, and it's because we ran out of time. But we were going to have a scene where the babysitter had called like, you know, her boyfriend or something, and I was going to just be the dialogue on the phone or whatever. And my girlfriend Destiny has a small cameo in Last Nightmare Part 1. She's the voiceover as Little Red is talking on the phone. That's Destiny is talking to her.
Yeah.
So just kind of throwing in like, you know, fun little stuff like that for if like people know our crew and our team and everything, like, oh, catching on to there's that. But it was a ton of fun to actually kind of step up and play this role. And it's funny, we made the rolling joke on set that I was just the bad news cop, because every time I'm on screen, I'm giving Williams or some sort of bad news as to something that's going on. So
at least you escaped doom, and when you were doing the door to door and you're like, shut the party down, you made the old guy stay back, and he got knifed in the head immediately. I was like, you escaped there.
I did. I know. And my dad gave me a lot of shit for the bald guy. He was like, no, that's fucked up, dude. Like, you stuck it right in his head. I'm like, no. I'm like, first of all, I wasn't even thinking of that. And the guy, the guy loved it. So I don't even want to hear it. He was like, no, that looks awesome, you know?
Yep.
So
that was a fun scene where he's just like sliding down and it's just like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. It was everything. Like, it was everything that like, for like, and you know, like I said, I feel like I'm a big Scream fan. I love the Scream series, but it's a very toxic fan base. And I feel like to a degree, sometimes the Halloween fan base can be that way too. And so I was like, you know what? Like, people are like, oh, this is great. Oh, this is terrible. Like, and then you've got the Rob Zombie people, you know, which I really liked the first one. I think you mentioned the 2018 one. I really enjoyed that one. The second one, not, or 2018 was the remake. The first Rob Zombie one I really liked. Second Rob Zombie one I was kind of like, it was just okay.
Yeah.
But what you made is like what I would consider, like I would consider myself a Halloween fan from like the originals. That was like where I loved, and then I loved H2O, not so much Resurrection, but like it's what you want. You want the over the top kills. You want, you know, the just like the cops that can't seem to, you know, track him down, because that's what makes him continue to go on. This idea of this killer that's not all man, that's something more than just a man. Like, I think you're able to accomplish that in your film. So,
well, I'm glad. I'm really glad that, you know, as fans, that you guys can see that, and you know, it is honestly, there have been a few times like where I've been on set and I'm like, dude, I don't know if we can continue this. I'm like, I don't know if we can, because it's tiring, it's exhausting as an independent to be out there and doing this, and you've got long nights, and there's just so much shit that you have to get done, whether it's pre-production wise or post-production wise, and you're ordering all these perks for people that are expecting them and everything. And, you know, like it's just something that we have to get through. Luckily, it's always around the right time that people will message, like showcasing that they got their poster or something like that, and they just show genuine excitement. And then I've just got like that pep in my step again, and I'm like, all right, you know what? We got one more movie to go with this. We have one to go, and that's it. And I'm like, prep has already started for it. It's like the script is done and everything. I'm making some small adjustments to it. We're at the stage right now where we can start pre-production, and I'm working on the Indiegogo stuff right now for that. So that way, I always work in advance, because I cannot wait until the last minute. Otherwise, I am just very, very stressed out. As it's getting ready to open. So, you know, but yeah, it is very, very fun.
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just seems like a labor of love. And it's like, you know, it's like one of those things where you spend all that time and all that effort and all the, you know, like you said, there's people that are showing up to read, and you have to be ready. It's just, I'm a very anxiety driven person. And so like, I feel like I would have lost my mind. Like on day one, I would have been like, fuck this, we're going home.
Right,
We're done here.
Yeah, no, I mean, it literally took every ounce of me not to just be like, okay, I'm going to refund everybody, and that's it. We're done. We're not doing this. Unfortunately, it's done. Thank you for supporting, but I'm sorry. But no, we've progressed every single time, and I know it's hard. And that's the thing, is that just people don't realize how hard it is, and how much energy you have to be able to be out there and running this. And the one thing I've learned is the more questions that I get, it's just easier to answer the questions as they come in right off the bat. Because if you don't, they pile up, and then like, you know, you've got 1,000 people coming at you with like, you know, well, where do you want this, or where do you want this? And you know, so yeah, it's just, I'm like, can you please leave me alone for 5 seconds? Like,
so what advice would you have if someone's looking to either make their own fan film, or just get into maybe it's an original, whatever they want to do, starting filmmaking, other than don't do it? Like what advice might you give them to, like, you know, keep them on that path and not get discouraged?
Yeah, I mean, just believe in your story. I mean, believe in what you're doing, and that you can do it. You could do anything with the technology that you have currently. You can make a movie on your phone.
Right.
The thing is that making a movie on a phone, people will forgive a bad image. They will not forgive bad dialogue. So, or not bad dialogue, but bad sound.
Yeah,
so you want to make sure that, you know, you put all of your energy into a really good story and into really good audio equipment. And having mediocre camera equipment is fine, because again, the audience is more forgiving on a bad image, because, you know, if you don't tell somebody, people might think that's intentional, right?
Yeah,
like
they could have found footage.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, you know, but people will know if you have just terrible audio equipment that you're using, because
and it's hard to
all
follow a story if you can't hear shit.
Oh,
Or if you're
Exactly.
feeling like, or if like you feel like you got to like crank up when they're talking, you got to crank it up to 100, but then whenever the action happens, you got to turn it back down because you're gonna blow your eardrums out.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. And it's just hard, but believe in your story, keep pushing and get it out, because it's important. And it's like it's important to, especially nowadays, get original stuff out. I mean, with it, like, Sally is obviously a short film, but it's an original film, and I had a great time making that because it was my first attempt at an original. I'm writing my original feature right now, which is going to come after Last Nightmare Part 2. But
Okay.
I mean, because this is it. This is the grand finale of all fan films I'm doing. I'm done with fan films after Last Nightmare Part 2.
Okay.
So, but yeah, anybody that wants to do this, believe in your story, keep pushing. Know that you are absolutely capable of doing it. That's one thing. I know I talk a lot about how stressful it is, and that's to be expected. I mean, I'm not going to tell you it's going to be a cakewalk in the park, and if it is, then you're either a genius and you've solved everything, or you just have some sort of magic touch to have no problems. But be a problem solver. Understand that there's a solution to literally everything. You just have to come up with it and work on it and keep working on it, and then make another one, because you're not going to be an expert on your first one. I sure as hell wasn't. There's a variety of issues I can talk about and can continue to talk about that I've had working on Haddonfield Nightmare. But it's very, very hard. So just don't be discouraging in yourself. Keep pushing and get it done.
Right on. So yeah, can you give us a sneak peek in what your original is about, or is it top secret?
It's not top secret. It's a Christmas one. So going from Halloween to Christmas.
Okay.
But it's one that I'm very passionate about. This is one that it's going to be slasher-esque. So there's that.
Okay.
And that's what I'll say right now is it's
awesome.
Christmas, and it's going to be some form of slasher. It's going to be like one of like those like more action-packed sort of slashers, though.
Okay.
So it's going to move pretty quickly. I mean, there's a good amount of stuff that happens even within the first 15 pages of the story. So it's
nice.
It's an exciting one. And I think people are really gonna like what they see when the time is right for it.
And are you gonna shop at film festivals when it's done?
Yeah. That I mean, when we finished Haddonfield Nightmare, I sent that out to film festivals. I haven't really done a whole lot for Last Nightmare Part 1. I just don't really care to spend the money on putting it in film festivals. I mean, it's one thing if it's doing dog shit with views on YouTube, but it's doing pretty steady right now. But yeah, like, I mean, even with Last Nightmare Part 2, but yeah, the original will be sent out to film festivals and all that stuff. The goal is out here in Phoenix. They do a really great fest right now, actually. In Phoenix, we have Phoenix Film Festival going on. It's a huge anniversary. It's the 25th anniversary for it, and it's the 20th anniversary for the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival, which is out here as well. So the goal is to have the original done for the 25th anniversary of the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival, and then so within 5 years, hopefully that'll be covered and we can get people to see it. So
that's awesome. Well, they do Days of the Dead down here in Atlanta. I think there's one actually in Phoenix. Actually, I feel like they do a convention out in Arizona. I feel like I've seen one. But anyway, Days of the Dead has a independent film festival that they do as part of the convention. So if you ever want to, whenever it's ready, if you decide to make your way down to Atlanta, we'd love to catch up and hit the convention with you and maybe watch your film.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, as we progress, like the thing with like even with funding for it, the sooner that we can get money for it, the quicker we can get it out and everything. And it's not that we're going to rush, but I mean, we are kind of riding a good amount on Last Nightmare Part 2, hoping that not only we hit our initial budget for that, but anything over our budget goes into the bank for original stuff. So I mean, like, that's what we're really aiming for with Last Nightmare Part 2. So hopefully we've done it with Last Nightmare Part 1 to where people are like, yeah, I'd like to see this conclusion and everything. Crowdfunding for that opens in the very near future, as soon as this summer. So,
awesome.
Yeah, but we're super excited for it.
Awesome. Well, that's all that I have for us. Thank you for coming on, talking about Haddonfield Nightmare and The Last Nightmare Part 1. If you guys haven't, go out there. They're on YouTube. You can watch I suggest you watch both of them. Check out Sally as well. Follow Bat Productions, and be on the lookout for the Indiegogo for Last Nightmare Part 2. Hopefully in the near future. Hopefully, got to get those good perks. Maybe get killed by Michael Myers.
No, man, you guys have been awesome. Seriously, the show is great. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I had such a great time sitting here and talking with you guys and everything. So
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining, and hopefully, you can come back on and talk about your original once you get ready for that.
Yeah,
I hope so too. Yeah.
All right, man. You have a good rest of your day.
You too. Take care, brother.
All right, take care.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.